This question will be for the mayor candidates and the city council candidates. In recent years, the city has made significant improvements to Humphreys Park with the help of the Pride in the Park organization. What plans might you have to continue making improvements to our park, combat vandalism in our park, and what funding sources might you use to make these happen?
In Humphreys Park, over the last few years, with the help of the trustee here in town, the volunteer groups, Pride in the Park and all that, have done a tremendous job in getting us new equipment put in. We've spent over $200,000 in filling the ditches in around there to get rid of the water or to keep it from standing and being a big mosquito pit. There's still a lot of work to do down there. I think we got one of the nicest parks that you're going to find around. We hear that on a daily basis through the summertime from our visitors. But, you know, Humphreys Park, when it rains hard and you get the big rains, it is a low-lying area. It will flood. It will continue to flood. Our plan is to get that water out of the park as quick as possible. We've done what we can do in the park right now. Next year, with NDOT, they are going to replace the pipe that runs underneath the highway over by the Chuckles gas station, or whatever the name of that gas station is now. What is in there now is a double box culvert with a wall in the middle of it. So you got two boxes and a wall stuck in the middle. Well, the debris and everything catches there and clogs up. They're going to open that up into one big box culvert, which should get the water out of the park a lot quicker and get it out towards 200. Once 200 and the flat area out there behind the ball fields gets flooded, there's nowhere for our water to go. So that's beyond our control. But we are working on that park continuously to keep it nice, keep it friendly. We're having an abundance of vandalism. Getting that taken care of is tough. The vandalism really isn't happening to the equipment. They have done probably several $1,000s just this year alone in tearing our bathrooms up. And by law, obviously, you cannot put cameras inside the restroom. We do have them outside, but we're going to have to get a plan together, which I have one, of having the police come in and check these once an hour and see who's coming in out of there in that hour's time. And then if there's vandalism in that hour, we can narrow it down to the number of people that are coming. You know, we might get lucky and catch the person or persons, only they was the only ones in there during that hour of vandalism. But that is, you know, that does take away from your police being on the streets, but I don't know any other way to curb the vandalism other than more police presence at the park. We have a problem with a few homeless that we have to run out of there once in a while. Luckily here in Linton, we don't have a huge problem with that. But, you know, that's the plan we've got in place for that, and hopefully that will work. And we can continue to, you know, I hate to have the bathrooms. We get a lot of people that walk, but we can't afford to just keep dumping money in these bathrooms and replacing toilets when they break them in half, break the backs off of them. You know, the air dryers that we use for the hand.
Brent?
Well, first of all, Humphreys Park is a huge asset for the community. And there's been a lot of improvements over this last few months and years. And I want to congratulate John Cotter and Donna for the work they've done, and Bob Evans and the Linton crews that I see out there. I run around that park about every morning, and I know that they're out there working, they're out there mowing. A lot of improvements, a lot of things I don't think people really appreciate, the equipment that's there, but they do see a lot of people out there enjoying it with their kids and their families, and that's what you want. I'm sure there's other improvements that probably the park board have in mind, what they'd like to do. The old tennis court that are now a basketball court and a tennis court is utilized. You see a lot of kids out there. So that's a great asset for the community that needs to be not only maintained, but maintained well. The vandalism is totally one of those situations where the actions of a few impact the actions of many. And yeah, the cameras outside can't tell the whole story, and they shouldn't be inside, obviously, but maybe you can put microphones inside so they are triggered by sound if something goes on, something loud, something crashes, to call the police, so that you can match a timestamp on the sound to the timestamp on the video and get an idea of who's going in and out and what's going on and try to stop that vandalism. Technology may help, but it's probably not the true answer. You know, it's an attitude that we hear about in society today, that there's lack of caring. You know, how do you control that? How do you influence that? You can put it all in the news and the paper, but if they don't read it, they don't understand. And it is a shame, because they do take a lot of resources away from things that could be done at that park and made better. But it has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed in a way that's going to be effective, and get more police presence, if that's the case, to patrol that area more. You know, it's a tough call. But we've got two good bathroom situations at the West Shelter House and there by the East Shelter House. And it's a shame that we can't have them open all the time to the public, because they are used. And there are a lot of people that walk around that park in the morning. And I see people walking in the evening, and it's a great asset. And I like to see it added to, and some of that old tennis court that's to the east of the fenced-in area. Maybe that's an area that can be looked at to see. And I'm sure John's probably got some great ideas of what he'd like to see added to that park. But we do need to keep it, and we do need to maintain it well. And I think the two city employees I see out there in the morning do an excellent job of keeping that up and keeping it maintained. And I'd like to see that continue.
Tony?
Actually, both those candidates have answered a lot of questions what needs to be done to park. Water is one problem. Vandalism. The city and the city council here recently just budgeted, I think it was a little over $6,000 to put security cameras in out there, because like you say, the bathrooms, you can't keep the stools, they tear them off the walls. I don't know how many we've had to replace. We got a park board. They're their own company, more or less, what I should say. And you can't ask for a better board than what we have out there right now. They put a lot of time, they put a lot of effort in to keep the park where it is. We've got a couple of gentlemen out there, they mow daily, they pick the trash up, they empty the can. They're doing a great job of what they do. One of the problems we're gonna have, which we're gonna speak about, is gonna be our swimming pool. What are we gonna do with it? I mean, I remember when I was a little kid and it opened up, I gotta walk up and shake Phil Harris's hand. I mean, it was great, I couldn't believe it. And anyhow, we need to look at maybe some grants, see what's available, because we're gonna spend several $1 million to get that pool back in shape. Big question is, how's the city gonna pay for it, you know? We don't have that kind of money right now to put in a new swimming pool. You know, we don't wanna put on taxes, but there's a lot of options that we need to look at and see what we can do. You know, we got the miniature golf course out there. Water's a problem for them. But I agree with the candidate. We've got one of the nicest parks around, and you can thank a lot of people on the park board. They work hard to keep it that way. The city employees all work hard. Anytime we need something out there, they get the job done. And we just need to keep doing what we're doing and keep poking away and see what we can come up with.
Well, my theory on the park is, as good as the park board does, I know Mr. Cotter's here, his wife's here, I know Herbie Abbott's here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because though you can't come up with a number of hours that this park board has spent at the park. Now, I'm not saying there can't be improvements made, but unfortunately, the vandalism that's going on, there's really not a darn thing we can do about it unless we're patrolling it 24/7. I hate to say it like that, but you can't fix stupid. And if you got these stupid people in there doing that stuff, it's not fair to you, it's not fair to our runners, it's not fair to the people that walk. But what are you gonna do? You can't fix stupid. So, and I wish someone would come up with an answer of how to stop this vandalism. But we can't. I think the city is doing a great job trying to get the water away from the park. I know we've worked for a couple years getting all this. You just don't decide to stop the water from entering the park and call the state up and say, hey, we want this ravine fixed. It doesn't work that way. So it takes time, but I think we're going in the right direction.
Well, I think the city park is one of the greatest assets we've got around here. It's used by a lot of citizens here in town. And as far as the patrolling of it, We can't keep law officers out there all the time. I think the most important thing to our citizens is safety. With everything going on in the world today, we need, and we've got an excellent police department, fire department, and city department. But safety is one of the biggest things that we've got, and I don't, just like Linda said, I don't care what you do, you can't fix stupid. I see it all the time. I work part-time out at the Goose Pond, and every year we pick up trash. Kids are painting, I guess it's kids, painting stop signs, bridges, whatever, with spray paint. I don't know what the answer is, what to do about it, but I do think that we are going to have to do something with our city pool. It needs to be fixed. Like Tony said, when I was a kid, it was put in. I utilized it a lot when I was a kid, and I think it's a great asset for the youth of our town. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, one of the things that came to mind when you asked the question about funding for the park, I agree with everyone here that the park's a great asset for Linton. I think one thing we need to be considering is, as we have the dollars to put into the park, look for opportunities to make those dollars go further, whether that's in the form of using those dollars to get matching grant money from organizations like Regional Opportunity Initiative, who does quality of place grant making, or if that's an opportunity to use those dollars to get discounts on equipment and work with organizations who could help provide services to improve the park. The park board we have does a fantastic job, and I would love to see a way that we can raise additional funds and make the funds that we do have available for us today go further to keep in the park the pride that it is for the community.